Would you say that there's a missing element of hard work within ministry, within the church life, within church culture?
Well, you got to really understand hard work is in every generation. And I think hard work in every generation is different. I look at the 1950s, 1940s, those guys worked hard.
Right.
But then I think about our generation and everything we've accomplished with social media, YouTube and all that. And I think there is hard work there. It's just shifted almost. So we have hard work. To me, back in the day, hard work was working with your hands, building, right? But nowadays, it's hard work mentally.
Right.
And I think in the church was definitely built on, a foundation of Jesus Christ, right? And everything that's been through. But I think hard work in the church now is figuring out how to operate some type of camera, how to understand what YouTube is, because we live in a different generation. So each generation has a different type of hard work.
So it's almost like there's more opportunity to work hard in different areas, right? Because technology wasn't like the way it is back in the days that you're talking about, where it was pretty much all physical work, working with your hands. Now it's a lot of mental, not that there wasn't mental hard work, in past generations, but I think in our day and living, or our lifetime, it's all mental.
And I think about it too, like growing up, my dad, he was a very hard worker. He came from Mexico, came over here, worked all hours. I never really seen him, but I knew he was a hard worker. And I remember just looking at him thinking like, man, his life is kind of rough, as a kid. I'm like, what does he do for fun, But now that I'm an adult, I realize how much he sacrificed for our family and to give me a comfortable life. And now that I have kids, I look at that and I think, man, I'm going to work extra hard for them too.
Right. I think it's such a different mindset, right? Because I think you have like a bunch of gamers these days, right? Yeah. That they'll say things like, I'm just grinding, right? I'm working hard. And it's in my head, I'm like, bro, you're playing video games. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. But I think there is a level of that hard work ethic in the commitment level, right? And committing to the right things and working hard in the things that you enjoy. And I think maybe there's a misunderstanding, right? Where we think maybe a generation isn't working as hard, but maybe they're just really committed to what they love. And that's so different than maybe our generation or previous ones where we couldn't really commit to things we love, because sometimes the things we love didn't end up in, provision or life support. It was just for fun. Yeah. Whereas now, like, hobbies for these kids are now turning into
somewhat hard work. And you said something really important. I think a lot of us really have to think about is you make time for what you love, right? That's something we've heard growing up. And I think obviously when it goes to the church, your first love, Jesus Christ, and doing what we have to do as believers should always be that foundation. And some days are hard, yes, but other days, specifically for my type of work in full-time ministry, I wake up every morning, I think, I get to do this,
right? Yeah.
And so I think too, you have to really look at it as just an opportunity. Every time you work hard is an opportunity to get better at something. And so when you start working hard, when you start growing in the things of God, and when opportunities come with the Lord, I mean, hard work and love are right there. And again, you make time for the things you love. So if you love the Lord, if you love what you're doing, if you love gaming, like you're going to make time for it. You're going to do the best you can. Now, obviously you have to go over the mental challenges and all that stuff. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, if you love it, hard work it seems like a little easier to do.
What part of your life really instilled that work ethic?
Well, I think my dad. He was a tough guy. He was, again, from Mexico City. His life could be a crazy book. I mean, he's been through a lot. But he always instilled in me one thing that I still, to this day, hold very near and dear to my heart is exercise. And through exercise, I learned how to work hard. I learned discipline. I learned self-defense, right? And I learned all these little things with that simple task of him telling me to do 100 push-ups when I didn't understand why. Yeah. And I remember one time we were punching, he had me in kickboxing a lot. We were punching the bag, and I remember him telling me, do it again. I'm like, dude, I've done it enough. And it's the same thing. And he said, no, keep going. And I remember I hit it so hard, I started to get calluses and I started to bleed a little bit. And I'm like, dude, I can't stand this. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But through that, he kept coaching me and kept telling me to keep hitting that bag no matter what. And over time, the calluses got stronger. My hits became more accurate and they got harder. And I'm like, okay, it makes sense.
So hard work pays off.
Hard work does pay off. It's very painful.
Yeah.
It was painful, I remember. But I remember him instilling that in me. Always work out, because that's a great tool to build your life off of. Because if you can work out, you can go to work. If you work out, you can have discipline. It instills discipline in you to do things. And so that's what I remember him telling me, is like, listen, if you can get up, work out, you can do a lot of things in life, because working out is something that'll keep you healthy, but it'll keep you disciplined in your mind to keep going. So that's something.
It's doing something hard every day.
Doing something hard every day.
Right. And I think, I don't know if it was Mike, I don't know if it's a quote by Mike Tyson or not, but he says something about discipline. I don't know if it's him, and I might butcher the quote, but something similar to discipline is doing what you hate like you love it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like
really
doing
is.
something difficult every single day. And I think that is a lost art in generations. I think in the church.
Yeah.
I think when people think of full-time ministry, they think, man, this is gonna be easy. You know, wake up as late as I want, show up whenever I want to church. All I got to do is, some church work, and I get to go home. But that's almost taking advantage of God's ministry.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And do you think that happens often, where people want ministry just for what would seem to be an easy life?
Well, I feel like this generation, I feel like such an old man saying that. This generation. But I feel like this time in our lives as we're adults, understanding that getting to where you want to be does take hard work, especially in the church, like you're saying, and especially people that just want the limelight.
Right.
It's so easy to do that now. You can just turn on your phone, Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Everybody's a content creator nowadays. But to push past that and see what it actually is, there's so much more than that. And I think it looks good to a lot of people in the church, maybe, or to a lot of young evangelists that want to do what they want to do, or young worshipers, young people that just want to be in ministry. And it's very enticing because, you can have your own schedule, you can do what you want, but there is a level of discipline you have to have, and maturity. I mean, you can't be immature doing this kind of stuff, because literally you're dealing with people's lives, salvation. Right. And that, I think, is something that is such a good wake-up call to especially the young generation trying to do something for God. Is you're not doing it for yourself. Like, you are not doing it for yourself. Selfless. To be selfless in this type of work, and to be selfless in everything that you do, and to have that mindset. And I always think about, Jesus and all the stories that I've read. And if he can wash the disciples' feet, how much more do we have to be humble when we come to the throne, when we come to a church? Every time I get on stage or I'm close to the stage, I thank God. I say, Lord, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, because I know you could have taken it at any moment. And so staying in humility and staying, yes, it's a great thing to have, a great thing to reach for, the limelight, right? The YouTube, 20, 30,000 subscribers, whatever it is nowadays, million subscribers. But understanding that you have to keep Jesus close. You have to keep God there. If not, your head will go like that.
I think that's what you're saying. I think is interesting, because if you look in the scripture, you look throughout all the stories, you see that a lot of times when God calls somebody, they were in the middle of work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like King David was shepherding the flock. Peter was a fisherman, right? It was God found hard workers and asked them to work hard in the kingdom. And I think today what's interesting is people can really fake the work. Right. They can look good online. They can look good on social media. They can look good in front of their pastors, but God knows, right? And platform doesn't always mean that God has anointed the individual. Right. But I believe God anoints people who work hard and who are disciplined. Because I know growing up with you, in case you didn't know this, we literally pretty much grew up together. Yep. I don't even. It's one of those things I don't even remember when we met.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what it is? It's like a dream. You just are there.
People are just in your life.
Yeah.
I remember. Obviously, I remember the first time we hung out was at the Bellflower Church.
Yeah.
Bellflower, California. I do remember that.
Yep.
But growing up together, you've always really had a high work ethic.
Right.
Whenever we needed somebody's help at the church, whenever we needed to go on outreach, whenever anything that was needed, it was like, somebody call Steven, because Steven's going to be there unless his dad has him doing work at home. You know what I mean?
If I'm working out, I cannot be there.
Yes, he has to be working. But I think that's interesting, because guys that work hard are usually the ones that God calls.
Yeah.
How do you think your work ethic has put you in the position that you're in to be in full-time ministry and to do what you do?
Well, I look back at my life, and again, I've always tried my best. Even if it wasn't good, I always tried my best. And again, that was something that was instilled from my dad and my mom too, is just try your best at something. And if it doesn't work, pivot a little bit and try it again. But just don't give up. And I remember a lot of times in my life, there were moments where, and I know everyone watching, there could be moments where you want to give up. But something I always remember my dad saying is he says it in Spanish, but I'll pretty much say it. He's like, keep going. If it hurts, get up and do it again. But he would say it in an aggressive Mexican way.
Motivating.
Yeah, which is great. And I remember just continuing to try to sharpen myself as a human being in every aspect, whether that be a friend, whether that be a hard worker, whether that be a singer, whatever it is, a father. Try to every day sharpen myself and be a little bit better than I was yesterday. And I took that with my exercise background and my discipline. And I used to be in boxing, jiu-jitsu, karate, and they all talked about the same exact thing, is discipline. And I think that's where it kind of stemmed, like I was telling you earlier. But that throughout my life started shaping myself. And I was willing to do anything and everything for the kingdom because I love God. I really did. I wanted to do something for God. I didn't know what, but I did. And all those years, I would read the scripture and I would read, okay, I have to be a servant. I want to be the best servant I can. If my pastor told me to scrub the floor, scrub the toilet, I'm there. I'll do it. Right. I don't care. I'll do it because I know that it's not just a physical act, but it's an act that God sees. And I think that's why he really does favor the hard workers. He favors the ones that are continuously trying to make themselves better because of that. And I think humility goes along with discipline. And you keep walking that line together. I mean, you can do anything you want. You can be anything you want to be as long as it's within God's will.
I have these conversations with some of the young guys at our church.
Yeah.
And I'll tell them, like, guys, ministry is hard. Like there is no easy way. If you want the easy way, don't get in ministry.
Yeah.
Don't get involved in the church, right? Just attend church. Like don't get involved because then it gets difficult. It's hard, right? But I've also known that a lot of people want to know how to get there.
Yeah.
Right. So if you go through YouTube, as you would know, like half the videos are like, here's the habits you can establish to become more disciplined.
Right.
Top 3 habits every disciplined person has, right?
Yeah.
And it's such a popular thing that people are searching for and desiring to build these disciplines in their life that they don't have yet. Right. Maybe they're watching guys like you, or they see other YouTubers and they're just like, man, how do I get there? Because I know that's a question a lot of people have. How do I become disciplined? What advice would you give to somebody who just feels like they can't get through, they can't get over that, either the laziness or the distraction? What would you tell them to become disciplined?
Well, I would say find something you're good at and do it. Whether that be literally video games or something that can really start instilling discipline in you. Because when you find something you're good at, you're going to want to do it over and over and over and over again. And especially for the younger generation, I feel like a lot of them are clinging to so many different things because YouTube sprays 20 different things they could possibly be into because the algorithm, right? But find something you're good at. Find something you love to do, enjoy to do, whether it be a hobby. I would really, really highly consider the younger generation or anyone in general to do a hobby first, because the hobby, you'll start to find passion for it. You'll start to invest in it. And that right there, you're starting to drive yourself into some discipline, into some, something you like and enjoy. And I think from there, you can start branching out once you've established, oh, I can do this. Oh, I can work on a camera. Oh, wait, maybe I could, fix a camera. Oh, wait, maybe I could be in front of the camera because I know how to talk to the camera.
Right.
And from there, you just start growing and growing. So I think easiest thing I could say is get into a hobby you enjoy to start instilling some type of love and discipline. And that should hopefully direct you into something you really like. And it could just elevate from there.
Do you think the hard things ever become easy? Or is it always difficult to do what's hard?
Man, that's a tough question. But I would say if you love it, it's not hard. Now, some days you won't love it.
Okay, well, yeah. What if you don't like working out?
Some days
what if
you
people
won't
don't
love
like
it.
working out?
Yeah. But then there goes that discipline.
Right.
No matter what, if you love it, hate it, you still got to do it because you've committed to it.
Right.
I think your commitment and your discipline, humility, all work together to get whatever you want, your goal, and get you there. So, I mean, it could be days, like I said, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to do my vocal lessons. I've done them a million times already. But then I think about that moment when I asked the Lord, do something with my life.
Right.
And I'm always reminded, okay, he gave this to me. It's not mine. So I'm going to keep working at it.
So now you are that work ethic got you to full-time ministry. You're the worship leader for David Hernandez Ministries and Counter TV. You got your own YouTube channel. How did you get there? Right. Now I understand you worked hard, but what do you feel like the steps of your life? How did you end up here?
Yeah. So me and Pastor David, we go way back, obviously, as well. But you know, it's funny. We've always talked, and this is specifically for ministry. We've always talked about doing something together. And to let you guys know, I didn't know I could sing. I barely found out I could sing probably when I was maybe 12 or 13. Throughout the whole childhood, I didn't know what I was going to do for the Lord. That's when I was asking him, Lord, help me do something. But I grew up with him, and we always talked about doing ministry together. And it was so crazy, you know, all the steps that had to happen, because you look at your life, and anyone that is successful or anyone that's going to be successful or trying to get there, you look at it as like just steps, right? Little steps that you've taken. And one wrong step could have sent you in a completely different direction.
Right.
And so the steps, I believe God really, really had his hand on me, because there was a time in my life where I could have completely stepped away from the kingdom. I could have took a left turn or a right turn and said bye to everything Christianity. And I was faced with that issue. But thankfully I was reminded again of it's not mine. And so all these things in my life that happened, I could say probably it really started picking up. I'll share a little bit of my journey in a nutshell. But I remember at 7 years old, me and my brother, I have a fraternal twin. His name is Michael. And he was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy. And I remember at 7 years old, me and him starting to run, and then he started to fall, and then he started to crawl. And I was like, that doesn't seem normal. So my mom took him in, and then we found out officially that he had muscular dystrophy. And what that does is it weakens the muscles, tightens the muscles over years and however many years they have. It affects the heart, it affects the lungs, it affects everything, anything in your body. And so he was wheelchair bound. And I remember thinking, you know, why, you know, that's always been a question in my mind. Why? But I had a mom, and she is an incredible prayer warrior, and you know her. And I grew up always remembering, even in the bad times, even in the bad news, she was always praying, always, no matter what. And when we got that diagnosis for my brother, I remember her not even crying, just saying, we'll be all right because God's with us.
Wow.
And I know she cried behind doors for sure. I mean, we all wept because it was a hard pivot in our life.
Right.
And so we went about it throughout the years, and his condition got worse. And just letting you guys know, he's still alive, so it's incredible. But that is a fatal disease. Most kids only live up to 20.
Wow.
I'm 33 or 34. Am I 33? 34.
I think you're 33.
I'm 33.
Something like that.
He's still kicking. He's still fine. Thank God. And I remember that started shaping my life a little bit more alongside of what my dad was teaching me and stuff like that. And then I remember, again, going back to Pastor David and our friendship, he started his evangelistic ministry. I was curious to know what I could do for the kingdom. I actually started in camera. I started in the background on camera, which I loved. Terrible at it. That's why I don't do it no more. So I started camera because, again, that work ethic in me, try my best at everything. And if it doesn't work, we'll pivot and do something else. So I remember doing that and getting more familiar with his vision and his goal. And I remember looking at my life and thinking, okay, I could definitely, I'll do camera for the rest of my life. I don't care. I'll do it. But then the Lord kind of, I guess he just dropped vocals in me. I don't know. I mean, well, I know my mom used to sing. My sister sings. My brother plays bass. My dad used to sing a little. So I think it was in my blood.
Right.
But I didn't think I could do anything like that. And I remember singing an Elvis song when I was about like 12 or 11.
Could you sing it? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't even remember which one. Oh, I can't. I gotta clear my voice. I don't even remember which one it was. But we were, it was me and my sister and my mom. We were at the bank and we were in the car and we were just waiting. And I started singing that song. And then my sister like hits me. She's like, "Wait, stop!" I'm like, "Oh, dang, sorry. I didn't mean
You
to
messed it up.
I didn't mean to be loud." And anyone knows my sister, she used to love Elvis songs. I think she still does. But
Yeah.
she's like, "Sing that again." And so I sang it again. And she's like, "You can sing." And I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't think I can." And then I remember fast forwarding. I was always at the altar singing. I was always there, no matter if it was a salvation message, backslidden message, yada, yada, whatever, climbing the mountain. I didn't care. I was always at the altar. And I remember getting up from the altar one day, and then my worship pastor at the time, she came up to me. She's like, "Hey, I want you to do some background vocals for us on one of the Sundays." And I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "Was I too loud? Did you hear me or something?" But I guess, she heard from my sister. And so I got into that position. And then I remember just trying it again, going back to my heritage and my work ethic is like, I'm going to try it no matter what. Like, even if I sound terrible, I'm just going to do it to see what happens. And I'm not going to give up. If I sound bad, I'll figure out how to fix it. And if I don't fix it, it's all right. I'll just do something else.
Yeah.
And so I was able to get on stage or on the background vocals. And to this day, harmonies are my favorite thing to do. Any singers that are watching, harmonies, you start singing, I can harmonize with you easy. But I know the Lord had something more for me. And so just fast forwarding in the ministry, I started doing worship at my church. That sharpened my skill. And then me and Pastor David talked, and he's like, "Hey, would you be down to come full time?" And I'm like, yeah. Singing? What do I have to do? And it was funny. I remember we sat in a little Italian restaurant in Long Beach. I think it was Long Beach or somewhere by the beach. And we were just talking about this the other day too. We sat down and he was giving me the kind of like the day-to-day what I would do. And I was scratching my head. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Because I come from a crazy background of like 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning, get up, work all the way, work, overtime, work. And it was laid out so simply. And I look at it, I'm just like, can we do this? Like, what else am I going to do? And now, obviously, I'm looking at my schedule. I'm like, Lord, wait, make sure I'm here. So my time in ministry has been incredible. But just kind of sharing my journey, where I really started full time and how I started full time it really is a great story. One day I'll share like the full thing, I think. But me and Pastor David, like I said, when he started his ministry, I was kind of helping him out with camera. And then we started, he kind of said, "Hey, let's do it." And so we kind of hashed this out. I've been full-time now for almost 9 years.
Jeez, no way.
9 years,
My gosh, that's gone by fast.
It's probably coming up on 10 years, yeah. And I remember the day when he asked me, I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Like I said, I was so excited. But yeah, so that's where it kind of birthed. And we've been doing it ever since.
I remember when we tried to start like a pop punk band. You remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I still love that music.
I was on guitar, so it wasn't gonna go anywhere. that was the end of it. But okay, so tell us about your family, right?
Yeah.
Your wife, your kids.
So I'm married. I have a beautiful wife, Amanda. I have 3 kids, beautiful boys, Benjamin, Gideon, Sebastian. And they are my pride and joy. They are my headache too, but ultimately they're my pride and joy.
Not Amanda, right?
No. Amanda, you're a saint. She's a saint.
She's a saint. Yes.
No, she's been incredible. She's been incredible. And I got married. I just celebrated my 10-year anniversary, which is crazy.
No way. When was your anniversary?
November. No, March. I'm sorry, March.
I was like, wait a minute, we're in September.
Yeah, we just celebrated it this year.
10 years.
10 years. It's crazy because I think about how fast time really does go. And it literally, I feel like I blinked and I'm here. And I'm like, whoa, I have 3 kids. Who are you guys?
And they all look the same.
Yeah, they're all the same. And just to give it a little, I guess I would say a little introduction of both of them. Benjamin is my kind, sweet first child. Like he's very emotional, very sweet, very kind. Gideon is my crazy. He's probably gonna jump off of something one day and hurt himself, or go skydive, or he's the crazy one. Right. Like he's already showing signs. I'm like, Lord, help me. And then Sebi, he's still a baby, but I can tell he's the baby of the family. He's a little cry baby, but I love all of them. But yeah, we've having all boys is crazy. I always look at you guys with your girls, and I'm just like, I don't know that world. I don't know that world. I don't want to know that world.
No, it's a tough world. Yeah.
But yeah, I love my family. I do.
So how do you think what have you had to sacrifice? Because you work really hard.
Yeah.
You've always been like that. Mm-hmm. But when you were single, or even when it was just you and your wife, you could work hard. And not that you didn't have to spend time with her, but it's probably easier to balance hard work with your job and ministry and your family.
Yeah.
But now that you have 3 boys and your wife, been married 10 years.
Yeah.
What have you had to like say, hey, I can't do this anymore. Mm-hmm. I can't, even though I love it, it's something I'm passionate about. I have to lay that down so that I can focus on my ministry and my family.
Well, here's how my life is kind of set up. It's obviously my family, right? Is everything. I love them. I love them to death, right? You'll do anything for your family. Then I have my ministry and our ministry, Pastor David and I, and balancing those two. There was a pastor that actually came up to me one day out of the blue. And again, this was his advice. I trust him. He's like, you'll probably never find a good balance, but you got to make deposits in both.
Yeah.
And so my life is set up. When I'm home, I'm home. I try to get the phone off, get away from me, and just wrestle with the boys. Mm-hmm. And then me and Amanda have a specific date night. We go on dates every single week because, man, that's vital. Right. For anyone married, you got to make sure you have dates. Make sure you're still dating your wife for however many years you have left with them. But so I get home, I turn off the phone, I look at my boys. Sometimes I come in and pretend like I'm so tired. I'm like, I don't want to play. And then I'll play tag here and just take off to the top because I have a two-story house. Take off to the top, and they all go crazy. They go crazy, and then we wrestle, and I intentionally wrestle with them. And again, it's good because I have boys. I want to instill that exercise and that discipline in them now, and that's what my dad did. And so I do that too. But so I spend time with them, and I wrestle with them. But when that time's done, it's time for the wife. And usually that's, movies or, later in the night because the kids are always crazy. And then we have our specific date nights. Mm-hmm. But that's the family side. Then the ministry side is I'm waking up and I'm already thinking about the week. Like this weekend, we're going to have a worship event, which is exciting. I'm super pumped about it. But I've been in like game mode this whole week. Mm-hmm. I'm like focused in. I'm ready. I'm looking at the work. And there's a lot to it. There is a lot to it. But again, I look at everything I'm doing for the kingdom, and I think I am so blessed that he chose me. He could have chosen anyone else in this world, but he chose me to do this. And so I'm in there. I'm every morning I'm listening to the vocals. Every morning I'm doing my vocal lessons. I'm reading. I'm praying. I'm getting ready for this event. And that's pretty much what my whole life is pretty much every morning because, I don't go until a little later. So I get to actually spend time with the Lord. And that's super vital too. And so I have my little prayer wall, and I have a lot of people's names on it. And I just pray for each person. And then we talked about it one time. Yeah. I actually asked you, I said, hey, I need some advice on what to pray for. And you gave me some incredible advice. And I actually still have that advice. So
I'm glad it worked.
It worked. Yeah, it did work. And so I structure my mornings like that for the work. And then I start my day. And me and Pastor David, we go into the office, we talk to the team, and we do meetings and we do all that stuff. But that's kind of what my life is right now is just, okay, ministry, work. Yes, there won't be a balance. And if you find that balance, hit me up because I would love to know how you balance everything perfectly. But I know that those deposits are so vital in work and in my marriage and in my kids' life to continuously deposit something exciting. I try every month to do something exciting with the family. Mm-hmm. So that really helps too. I'll say, hey, today or at the end of the month, we're gonna go to the park. We're gonna play tennis. And so throughout the month, I'm kind of hyping them up, and they're excited.
Kids love tennis.
And they love tennis. I love tennis now.
They better love tennis. Huh?
Yeah. Or tag, or going just to the park, or going out to get a pizza or something like that. And I
just something different.
Just something different to really help them. Because their lives, they don't realize. They don't have to work right now. Right. They don't have to do that. So as children, that's what I've been trying to do. And with my wife, again, we have these date nights, and, I deposit as much as I can. but I know that I'm still called to do what I have to do.
Right.
And she knows that. She respects it. She understands it. And my boys are starting to understand it, but they're still little. So, Dad, you got to go to work again?
Yeah.
I'm like,
They're
dude,
shocked, huh?
people work every day, bro. 7 days a week, sometimes. But yeah, so that's kind of how my life is balanced right now. Just working with the ministry full time and still making those deposits. So if I give any advice on that is make those deposits with your family. So in that way, if you do have to go away or if you do have to work an extra hour or an extra day, it's not so hard on them because you've instilled that and you've put that little deposit, little coin in the bank for them.
I find that ministry and family, it's all in seasons.
Yeah.
So like I told my wife today, I said, this is a busy season. It's a busy season, but it's not always this busy. It's always, there's always work to be done. There's always hard work to be done. But it's not always the crazy busy season. Sometimes it slows down. But I think the underlying priority or discipline within the hard worker or within the individual that is successful in pretty much all they do is that trait of committed to hard work.
Yeah.
Committed to getting the job done. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. Some days it's going to take more than others.
Yeah.
But you got to get the job done. So you work hard. You're the guy that cuts his own lawn.
I do.
I don't do
love
that.
It.
I can't do that, especially in Texas when once summer hits, forget it. I'm like, there's just no way. One time I did it, it was like 114 or 110 outside.
Yeah,
and
brutal.
I almost passed out. So I was like, this is it. For my own health and safety, I can't do that anymore. But how do you find rest? Where do you find the season where it's like, okay, I'm working really hard, but I also got to take some days to find rest?
Yeah. So I think
I think I know the answer to this question.
Rest is super important. I mean, how many of you guys have been not rested and tried to have a conversation with someone or do something daily and you're just already just annoyed, right? Rest is so, and for no reason, right? Rest is so vital. Physical rest, yes, but mental rest is something I think, especially if you're in ministry, is so vital. And I was looking for many years for something. And I've always leaned on my hobbies. Like I said, find something you enjoy and do it. And so have had many hobbies. I've went spearfishing for a season. If you guys don't know, that's when you dive deep into the water, no snorkel or no tank, and you just snorkel and shoot a fish. Very crazy, very dangerous.
That's scary, dude.
Very dangerous. I think I almost died a couple times, but crazy. So I had to give that up.
Was it you that put the weights on and started sinking?
Yeah, you want to share that one?
Yeah.
So we were in Catalina, and I was hyped. I mean, this was my first time in Catalina.
Shout out to Rene Robles.
Shout out to Rene Robles, the captain. I still call him captain every time I see him. I say, "Hey, captain." He's like, "Hey."
We got to send that clip to Rene. He doesn't see it.
So I remember we were in Catalina, and there's a certain way you're supposed to dive into the water to float or to sink down properly, and that's called a weight belt. So you put a weight belt, and it's tuned to your specific weight.
I'll just say real quick, any sport that says this is how you're supposed to sink in the ocean, not a sport I want to be part of.
Yeah, anyway, no, it's definitely thrilling. But I remember putting it on, and it was tuned to Renee's weight, which again I was like clueless. I'm like, oh, cool, it should sink me down, right? And I remember, and this was one of the first times I ever tried to spearfish, and I'm like, oh, I'll jump in like 10 foot of water. That way, it's not too scary. So I put the weight belt on, I get all the gear on, I got the wetsuit on. I'm like, let's go. And so I jump in and I just drop. And I'm like, oh, crud. And I'm thinking like, okay, this doesn't feel right. Like I just dropped like maybe 7 feet fast.
Oh, no.
And I remember, I'm like, okay, just don't panic. Just remember your training, which I had none. So I was literally just, I was just like, wait, what do they do in the movie? What do they do in the YouTube? Like, what did I learn? And I remember freaking out. And I remember like, digging myself up or like fighting through the water. And I remember I barely got to maybe like a foot of water. And again, that weight was pulling me down. I'm like, oh Lord, this is how I'm going to die. And I look and I see an image and everybody, there's music on. I think Bob Marley was playing or something.
All peaceful.
And all peaceful. Everybody's like, yeah, you got it, bro. I'm like, bro, like I'm literally dying. I'm literally dying here. And I remember, thank God, I was able to get up and grab onto the boat. I said, I got to take it off. I got to take it off. And everyone stopped and they were like, what the heck's going on? And I let the belt go and I'm like, it sunk to the bottom. Thank God it wasn't.
Sorry, Renee.
Yeah, it wasn't deep, so he was able to get it. But that was a crazy, crazy hobby. And I remember another time where I got caught up in kelp. And this is when I knew what to do. I got caught up in kelp and my foot got caught up in the kelp and I had massive flippers on. So I took the flipper off and my foot was tied somehow to like some type of string.
gosh,
I think it
dude.
was like fishing string that got caught on the kelp. And so I couldn't swim up. And again, if you free dive, you got to go down, take one breath, and you're down there. There's no tank, so you got to come back up. So I was on my way up, and I remember my foot got stuck, so I took that off. I usually have a tack knife that was on my ankle, but I looked down and it fell off. And I'm like, oh, Lord. And so I remember like it was almost like a blanket of kelp. I could not see the surface. All I knew, I could have been swimming down for all I know. I didn't know. At that time, I got super disoriented, but I just started pulling the kelp up and just praying. I'm like, Lord, please make it quick if this is how I'm gonna go out. And I remember just ripping it and then seeing the top. And I was still about maybe like 4 or 5 feet from the top, which is fairly deep if you've never done it. And so I just, with all my energy, get up there and I'm finally at the top. And that was the moment I said, you know what? I think I have to give this hobby up. This is the last time. Although I loved it, I got a couple good fish. I was like, all right, this is it.
Wasn't
and my
worth
wife, I told my wife, she's like, yeah, that's it. You got a lot of important things in your life. You got to stop doing that. I'm like, okay. But she was right. I gave it up.
Okay. I almost died twice. I guess I can
This
stop.
is my hobby. Come on now. But
my passion.
yeah.
So now, you almost died.
Yep.
Spearfishing.
Yep.
Where are you at now? Where are you finding? What's your next hobby?
So again, you know, like I was talking earlier, you find something you love. I love spearfishing, but I had to give it up. I love the ocean. I kind of had to give that up because anytime I would go in the water, I'd want to just go dive and see the sea life. Get caught up in kelp. So now we moved to Texas, and I was looking for something to do. I was asking around, like, hey, what do people do in Texas? Like, what is there to do? You know, bull riding. I heard one guy say. I said, I'm definitely not doing that. But I always try to challenge myself in that hobby. Because again, when you do something you love, it becomes fun and you want to get better at it. So I stumbled upon the greatest game that was ever created, that I think was a gift from the Lord. And that is golf.
I agree.
Golf.
Yes.
So I love it. I love it. And I've been doing it now I just hit my 1-year golf anniversary a few months ago. Yes. Thank you.
Congratulations, man.
And so my father-in-law actually has been golfing for about 20 plus years. And every time I would watch golf, I would think this is the most boring thing I could ever watch. Sundays were a drag when golf was on. But once I understood the feeling, and some of these guys and gals know, of good contact and the perfect hit.
You get that drive, man.
You get the perfect drive. There's nothing like it. And I love it. And I will probably continue to do it. Now, here's the thing with golf, though. Anyone can do it. And I sound like a salesman for golf. Anyone can do it.
Okay. We'll put this too and put it up. It's important.
Anyone can do it. And I remember looking at all the greats. They weren't some massive dudes. They weren't some scrawny dudes. They were just average looking guys that knew how to play golf. And I wanted to do something that would last my entire life. So again, spearfishing definitely wouldn't last. Football, definitely not going to last. Basketball, roll my ankle, I'm done for.
Yeah.
I wanted to find a sport or a hobby that I could do that's somewhat safe, but I can really challenge my mental, my physical, and that it was all there.
I actually looked it up, and golf, I think golf and tennis are the two safest sports.
Yeah.
That's why people play into their 80s, 70s, 80s.
That's what I wanted to do. And that's what I want to do is I wanted to find something that I could do for the rest of my life that I would enjoy, that wouldn't be hard on my body. Because again, physical activity in my life it's always going to be there. It's instilled in my heritage. My dad always exercised. To this day, my dad still does push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, and he's like 70-something years old now. So he's still kicking. And so, yeah, the love of golf is it's an incredible game.
I have to thank you because I don't even know how did it come about where you invited me to golf?
So
what happened
here, and you were done with service, and I don't know how we started talking, but I just said, hey, do you want to come try golf? And you're like, yeah, let's do it. And that was it.
I remember we went to the academy.
Yeah.
It's a sporting goods store. And I bought a bunch of gear, right? I bought like some, a polo, like the stuff that I feel like you needed to dress on the course. So I know there's like a standard. And I went with you. It was early morning.
I remember.
It was a beautiful day, perfect day. Mm-hmm. I'm on the grass. I'm looking around on the green. It's me, you,
I think
Pastor
it was
David, Ish,
and Ish. Yeah.
I'm standing on the greens and I'm looking around. I'm just thinking, this. I hadn't even hit the ball yet.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is pretty amazing. Like this is pretty great.
Yeah.
And then we played. Yeah. And I got a couple good hits, and that was it.
Yeah.
I was in. I went from saying, I'm just gonna borrow your clubs.
Yeah.
Every time we play, to buying a push cart. To, you know what I mean? Like this
getting all of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I love it. I find that it is. I love video games, and I know you do too.
Yeah.
But I feel like video games are stressful. Mm-hmm. Right? Whenever we play, Marcel's yelling at me.
Yeah.
Because I'm no good, or I'm getting yelled at by somebody. Yeah. It's just stressful. It's still fun. But golf is like, I tell people this, it's the perfect blend of relaxation and competition.
Yep. I agree.
The perfect blend.
Yeah.
You can really rest.
And that's the best part, is you can bring anyone to play it. And it's so funny. We're talking about rest and just, resting the mind. And golf is one of the hardest games mentally to play. And that's what drew me to it as well, because I look at all these celebrities, all these athletes, majority of them actually do play golf. And I think they do that to keep their mind sharp, because it's not you against your buddy, it's you against yourself. Your hit is your hit, and you have to stick with that, and you have to deal with the consequence, and you have to keep going and figure out what you did wrong. And so that's what drew me to, golf. And yes, there is rest in physically resting, but you can also get some really good mental rest, because again, you can look around and see how beautiful it is. Yeah. Especially in the morning, the birds are chirping.
It's like heaven.
It's like an incredible, it's an incredible experience to see the dew on the grass, and you're just out there, you're just enjoying life. And I think that is such an incredible thing that we all need to do, especially when we are looking for something to give us rest, mental rest, physical rest. Yes, it's a mental game and it can be physically demanding at times, but finding something that will bring you peace is so vital in your walk, your life. In everything.
Well, I think what's interesting is people are so I guess inclined to just work hard.
Yeah.
Right. And I know for me, and I'm sure you can relate, when I'm not working hard, I feel like I'm being lazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Same.
Like I feel like I'm like I have to do something. I hate just kind of sitting there, because there's always things in my mind of like, this needs to get done. How can we improve this? And there's a million things to fix. But whatever hobby that is or moment of relaxation you get, I think in those moments, it's not just a time of physical rest, like you had said, but it's also moments where I feel like God can really speak something new to you in seasons of rest. Yeah. Right. In moments of rest. Now, obviously we love golf, and I'm not saying like, hey, golf is perfect prayer time, but like, I think making sure you are finding those moments in the busyness of life. Yeah. And I think sometimes, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, sometimes people become I know you said you can't find balance, but I think people become very unbalanced. You have groups of people who just work hard and never rest. Yeah. Right. But then you have the people who are always resting and never work hard. Yeah. Yeah. Right. And I think there has to be a blend of the two. How have you been able to find that blend?
So I think the best way personally that I've found is having the right people around you. The right people that will motivate you, that will push you, that will challenge you, and that will encourage you. And when you have people like that, when they can encompass all of those areas in your life, you can do anything. Like for the emotional or the emotional side is the one that you really have to be strong in, because especially in ministry, you can have someone come to your church, get involved, and then all of a sudden they're gone. And that's a really hard thing to deal with. Like you thought they were invested, or in work, you have this incredible worker and he's working with you and he's actually helping the company or whatever. And these are just scenarios. But then he dips, for a better position, and then you're left to pick up the pieces. And I think that a good, strong foundation of friends and family that are around you will really keep you strong and help you. They really will.
Do you think having the right people around you will, as they challenge you, right, they also give you new opportunities to find more work or more rest?
I think both.
Yeah.
I think they will, if they love you and they care about you enough. That's why I said the most important people in your life are going to be your friends and family. I mean, at the end of the day, when all is said and done, when this earth is done, when this everything we've known is done, you're left with people, humanity. And so when you have humanity, there is some good and bad with it, but there are some challenges and there are some good challenges.
Right.
And I think the people around you, when they love you and they care about you, they'll push you to excellence. They'll push you to rest. Pastor David, man, that guy tells me to rest more than anyone. I'm like, no, I want to keep going.
Yeah.
And I give a shout out to him. Like, no, he really helps me in that. And then, you know, just understanding, just continual, every step you go, your core should be your core,
Right.
no matter what. And obviously people come and go, but you'll find your core. And when you find your core, everything will be okay.
Well, I think if you want to be lazy, hang around with lazy people.
That's true.
If you want to be a hard worker, hang around with some hardworking people.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause the hardworking people will teach you how to rest. The
Yeah.
lazy people will probably never teach you how to work
Say a
hard.
thing. Yeah,
Right?
no, they won't say a thing. They'll teach you how to be lazy and just enjoy life.
That's it. Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
I have a couple of questions
Yeah.
for a little quick Q&A. Answer as quickly as you can, but also as, clear as you
Cool.
can. So how do you encourage and model a strong ethic for others serving alongside of you in ministry?
You just said it. Encourage them in that, and push them and get them on that path that you see. Because sometimes, a lot of the time, they won't see it. You have to be the one to show them, like, hey, you can be this.
Right.
So let me push you into that.
So it's like painting a picture of what could
Paint
be.
the picture. Yeah.
That's great. What advice would you give to someone who feels overwhelmed by the demands of ministry, but still wants to honor God through hard work?
Find why you're doing it. If you're doing it for the wrong reasons, it will always produce something wrong. If you're doing it for the right reasons, you will find a way to understand how to get through it and how to continue in that ministry.
For the last question, I think I like this one.
All right.
How do you personally ensure that your hard work aligns with God's purpose and doesn't lead to burnout or imbalance?
Wow. Can you read that one more time?
Sure, I'll read it a little bit slower.
That's so good.
How do you personally ensure that your hard work aligns with God's purpose and doesn't lead to burnout or imbalance?
Well, honestly, if I could just say, you find what you love to do, like I said, and you continue on that path. I think, especially when it comes to the Lord, you have to love the Lord with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind. Do everything you can for the Lord, and I think everything else will kind of just fade away.
Yeah.
And it'll be easy. It'll be easy, and you won't get burned out. You won't get tired. There physically will be days where you feel like, dang, I got to take a break. But if you continue to understand that He is your first love, He's the one that's guiding the ship, everything will be fine.
I find that whenever we do ministry stuff, I can do it all. Like I can go all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I literally could have meeting after meeting, planning after planning, because I love doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, as you said, you find what you love to do, because I think God puts passions in you. And if you let those passions, not let the passions lead, obviously you want the Spirit to lead, you want to do what's right. But you take what God has given you and you start to use that in your life. I think that it's easy to work hard.
Yeah.
Right. When you love what you do, it's pretty easy to work hard.
You said it the best. When you love what you do, it's easy. It's so easy.
Man, thank you for coming on today.
Hey,
dude.
thank you.
Appreciate it. I really enjoyed the call. I feel like we could have went on golf all day.
We could probably have talked another 2 hours.
Maybe
about
we'll
it.
do a whole episode.
Yeah.
You know what we should do?
Devote it.
And let me know if you want us to do this. I will do it if you guys want. We should film an episode on the golf course.
I'm so down.
That would be great.
You'll see the real me, all right? The good and the bad.
Dude, that would be so fun.
Yeah, that would
I think
be
we
great.
should do that.
That'd be awesome to do.
That would be great. Hey guys, listen, I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, make sure you like the video, leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And when you subscribe, turn on the notifications so that you can be notified every single time we release a brand new video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.